So the change a little bit. Hi, Juliet. Yes, we can discuss about your career for the drug discovery or the development. Yes, we also can. Would you mind to share some stories about? I know the Google, they already have the AlphaFold 2 or AlphaFold 3, and the Meta, they also have the open source project. So for those science, previously we will think, okay, this is where the science and engineering heavy the industry to do the drug discovery and the development. Do we have something new? The science or the breakthrough based on the AI? Would you mind to share some stories about that? Thank you.
Sure, of course. Yes, I think when those AlphaFold, resources came out to suggest that there are these new ways of analyzing for protein targets, that was quite exciting. I think right now we're still very much in that phase of testing out those hypotheses of what it was generating. And I know that there are companies also trying to leverage AI to identify new proteins that we haven't actually even seen in nature. It's not so much that they're not in existence, but that we just haven't discovered them. And potentially these could be, new ways to think about drugs and have them be tested. But ultimately, I think the challenge in biotechnology is that we still need to do a lot of the manual work to test the targets that are being identified or test the new drugs that we're trying to actually develop and see if they indeed could remediate the disease aspect. So in drug development, I do see a lot of the applications of AI still in that early discovery phase of the drug development process. So just to step back, we have discovery where we're doing a lot of the data generation or mining data sets to look for targets related to a disease. When we have a target that we think is going to be beneficial to have a drug go against to be able to impact an underlying disease, then we go into creating an actual drug to be able to target those proteins typically. And so I think that's where drug development is seeing a lot of the applications in AI, where we can identify those targets and then screen through new drugs that go against those targets and see if that actually gives us a new therapy for a certain disease. Where we are now in clinical trials, as we get closer to patients, that's where the bar for the accuracy, of what we're going after is quite high. We don't want to have false negatives in terms of diagnosis or false positive, results. And so that's where I think the adoption of AI is going to take some time to be able to see how accurate the data is that's being generated. And of course, a lot of, with the current models, what you get out of these algorithms is what you also put in. And so a lot of the big challenge too in biology is just that the data that we have is heterogeneous, right? And being able to have a lot of data in order to inform the model is going to be very important. And we're still in the midst of generating a lot of those data for whatever the application is to be able to give you, accurate predictions. So predictions, I think, is still really far from where we can really be able to trust how those results are. And ultimately, whatever we see as a new insight, we have to do the downstream experiments using cells, using animal models to make sure that the targets we're going after are actually relevant for the disease. And so that's in terms of just kind of what I've been seeing. We are seeing the adoption of things in AI to help maybe with some of the more manual work of going through the large data sets to be able to look for new insights. And so that's still a lot more on the use of, again, generating all these different data sets to understand not only genomics, but the proteins, proteomics. Now we have metabolomics, looking at metabolites that are being produced. And the idea is to integrate the insights from these different data sets to be able to understand how a disease actually progresses. So then we have a better idea of what the good targets are. So that's I guess an overview of where I've seen the applications of AI in biotechnology. And it's a long process for sure when we get from the insights, the ideas and hypothesis to the actual testing in humans in clinical trials. So we're looking at ways to shorten those timelines with the use of AI is definitely an area that a lot of companies are looking to do, because we recognize 10 to 15 years is a long time to get a drug into patients, and so that's where we're looking for ways to leverage AI to really heighten the efficiencies of that process.
Yeah, so it looks like a lot of players joined the game because they found actually they have some of the low food. Actually, it's not exactly the low food, but actually we can accelerate about to finding the drug, the candidate drug,
Yes.
or maybe the candidate is kind of protein structure used or maybe potential for human health. But actually after that, we still need to do some the manual animal, this kind of test, and then go to the clinical trials. But for the clinical trials and the animal test, we can't shorten this kind of period. Maybe you will still need about 6 or 7 years to verify and get approval of FDA. But for the start phase, actually this kind of generative AI can help us to find this kind of seed of a candidate. It give us some lots of imagination about that. I think that
Yes.
this kind of yeah, the layout. Yeah.